But this time we are ready to hear a word, and we will call Reverend Rod, founder of I Want Better Ministries, to bring us a word for us to hear.
My Lord.
Amen.
Rev, you all.
It is my pleasure to be a humble servant, to be able just to serve and to be a part of the ministry with y'all.
All right.
Nobody could do this by themselves. And
say it.
Well, there ain't no fun in that.
Uh-huh.
You muted yourself, Rev. That button went to work.
Yeah, it did. I got this fancy mouse. It's got these little buttons on the side of it, you know.
Oh yeah, know about them.
You move it and you got to keep the mouse away from it. But maybe the part that got muted needs just to be said again. And that is, I love each and every one of you. I'm absolutely blessed to be a part of your lives. And I don't take that lightly at all because of the importance. I understand what it means to really want something in your life, but you just have no control over whether it is or it isn't. But that's the inward side of things. That's how the world around us kind of comes towards you. You may not be able to control it, but one thing I can do is what I can move and emit from myself. I can control that. What I do, how I do it. And whether or not, sometimes I think, you know, when we start to move in a certain way, we have expectations that things must be a certain way in order for me to move. But love don't work like that. Love just does it because. Just because. It don't keep records and it don't keep track. It has none of that associated with it. It just doesn't keep track of, well, wait a minute, I did X, Y, and Z, and now, wait a minute, you got to do X, Y, and Z, and then we're even, and off we go. There are minds that do think like that. And as I listened to Tyrone's testimony, it tore into my heart because, you know, when a person reaches out to you, they're really reaching out beyond you. They are able to see further than what is just on the surface. Sometimes as people, right, we don't let that part of us out, right? That's the part we kind of keep hidden, well out of sight of other people. And that's kind of what I wanted to get to in today's message. And I created the Sermonette title, and I went back and forth with this, and the Lord said, no, that's not right. I don't want to see that. And then I'd write one and well, I was close, but no, that's not it. And then I wrote one and it was like, yep, that's going to work. And so I titled it, Doing You, Overcoming Delays and Procrastination. And that whole sentence or that little title, Doing You, you know, if we just stop and just, what does that mean? Doing you. Really, it just says, who are you to be? You could contrast that saying by saying, who are you not to be? But really, doing you is really a celebration about who you are. But you know what? We have these things called life. And oftentimes we have challenges that we have to overcome, both external and internal challenges. Today's word comes from the Pauline epistle, the book of Ephesians, chapter 4 verses. I'm using 2 verses today. as a scriptural reference, verses 1 and 2 of the 4th chapter. And it reads, I, therefore, the prisoner of the Lord, beseech you that you walk worthy of the vocation wherewith ye are called, with all lowliness and meekness, with longsuffering and forbearing one another in love. How powerful is this? It is not a message of commanding people to do certain things or to be certain ways. It's not a command at all. It's someone who is saying by grace, you know, you've got a gift. You've got a vocation that God has given to you. You were called specifically for that vocation. That is the doing you part. He then kind of goes and says, with all lowliness and meekness, with long suffering, forbearing one another in love. Now, here's kind of a really wonderful thing. Is this for the person who is perfect, gets it right, sits out in front? Could be. But, you know, moreover, it's for the person who's looking to get it right. You know, I failed so many times, but I'm still on my way. I tried so many times, but I'm still on my way. You know, based on my abilities, I don't know that I need to be a part of this. I'm not worthy to deal with this. You see, that second part, with all lowliness and meekness, with long suffering, forbearing one another in love, is, when you look at it, you say, what are you talking about? I didn't notice any of that. Now, did I see it happen? Yeah. But am I holding that down on you or against you? Not at all. There's no one perfect, but I see that you're on your way. Now, why should we even talk about things that suggest that a person is on their way? Now, Paul kind of said up front, therefore, I'm a prisoner of the Lord. Now, if we talk about people and the walk that they might have, you know, some people might kind of look down their noses at us, at me anyway. Say, well, you're what? Oh my goodness, no, we can't be bothered with you. You're not, you know, I haven't reached this echelon, or I haven't done this, or I haven't done that. So therefore, how can I be counted in that number? Okay, that's what you think. I'm not here to change one thing or another. But he calls himself a prisoner. You know, people might look down on me because I do and I act a certain way for the Lord. But they never catch on that that is an assumed position of grace. You see, if I'm indebted to the Lord, a prisoner of the Lord. He didn't say he was a prisoner of the world or a prisoner of all of the other things that might happen in life that might cause people to look lower. He said, I'm a prisoner of the Lord. And because that's what I have, I'm not looking at myself as a king, you know, with a crown on my head and I got all these credentials and I got all this and, you know I can do and I can, the Lord, you know, I talk to the Lord every day and I see how he has come forward. It's not that. So I wanted to ensure that we started by saying, you know, whatever the vocation you have on the Lord, that you walk worthy in that vocation. Now we can talk about doing you. And now we can say, well, it's possible that we may not know what vocation we have. I've been looking for years trying to understand who I'm supposed to be or who I'm not supposed to be. And I've not yet figured that out. Now, who would want to tell somebody something like that? Most people would just kind of keep it to themselves and be the undercover person instead of the upfront and out person with, hey, listen, I'm still trying to walk. I'm still on this journey. I haven't gotten there yet. And you may hear sometimes someone say, hey, I'm not what I used to be. But I ain't got there yet. I'm still working on it. But you know what? That ship has departed from that particular area of life. That ship moved on. It departed. It's no longer sitting there. Bon voyage. I'm on my way. But what things should we consider? You know, what might make us resistant to understanding who we are, to even classify that we're going to do ourselves when there's so much confusion out there. You know, do you think for a moment that doing you and your vocation has an opportunity for you to learn, to embrace, to expose that part of you that has been tucked away, yet it is super powerful. And if anybody mentions your name, the first thing that comes to that mind is that vocation that you have. It's the first thing that will come to mind. Whether it is, I get it. Really, really nice, really down to earth, just really level-headed, very wise, whatever that is, strong, whatever the word is, that's going to come to mind. But the question becomes whether or not you see yourself as that. And that happens, right? That we often see ourselves a little differently. So, who are you? Let's get into doing you and overcoming the delays and the procrastination of the vocation that you have within you. Now, when we talk about procrastination, it's really, sometimes, people think that procrastination, in order for a person to say, hey, I'm a procrastinator, that there's a level of laziness within them, and that couldn't be further from the truth. Lazy is lazy. Procrastination may take on other forms. If you needed to complete a task that wasn't on your plate, wasn't for you to do, but now in order for you to complete it, you have to take responsibility. And maybe you're not ready to take responsibility for doing something that you didn't put on your plate to begin with, but it was something that was assigned to you to deal with in life. Now, has that ever happened to you, that you've ever been assigned something to do and you're thinking to yourself, well, how did I get that assignment? And in order for you to take care of it, well, there's a bit of planning that you have to do, and there's some other things, right? But maybe one of those things is, well, I can't control the outcome of that. We're going to take a look at a little bit behind the scenes on that statement as well, because not only from a procrastination point of view is, completing the task, somebody put something on your plate, but also fear of failure. And if you can't control the outcome, then why would you want to be responsible for that? Or whatever the thing is difficult, or it's maybe way too complex. And so why take it on? Why even get started? I got better things to do. I got other things to do. Or maybe the results won't be satisfying. Or personally, it's no fun. Or personally, it won't be rewarding. Yet, it's something that needs to be done. And is it getting done? Nah, not really, because we've found reasons not to deal with it. We found reasons to, well, maybe make it a non-priority. But that's another reason that people procrastinate, because of priorities. And sometimes the urgency is misunderstood. And what I mean by that, it's kind of just right out there what I'm saying. But let's say that you have something that is urgent, right? And it is super urgent. It needs to get completed like yesterday. And then you have this other thing in your life that is going to kind of help you with your future. You know, if I take care of this, then I am going to be able to really propel myself and propel my family into a better state. But now I've got this urgent thing. Well, if you really were to look at the two, is the future more urgent than some deadline that somebody else fabricated on your behalf? So then becomes the questions, right? Well, what is urgency? Does it really mean that I need to get this done? And who is the urgency for? Is it for me, or is it for this person asking? And so from a procrastination point of view, I think that people would more gravitate towards getting the thing done that says, oh, this is urgent, how important this is. But now you're really dealing with someone else's emergency, when at the same time, you have some things that you need to, complete, get done. And that you don't take care of. You kind of put that off to the side. That urgency is misunderstood. But it's misunderstood just simply because we're not asking the questions. Whose urgency is it? Whose priority is it? Is it yours or is it someone else's? Yeah, and I heard somebody say, well, yeah, what if the boss, that can get you fired? Well, we're mixing some things together. So work is work and your life is your life. Which is the priority? Which is the priority? That is what you want to work out. You see, you have to sometimes be able to recognize some things about us. And that is, when we have something that is going to help the future you, ask yourself, are you walking worthy of the vocation which you were called? Is this thing that needs to be done, is it going to help with who you are to be? Is that just inherently you? That this is so deep within you that you say, yeah, I can really get into this. But oftentimes we don't do that, right? We don't do that. And we kind of put that off. Well, yeah, that's going to help my tomorrow. Yeah, that's going to help this. That's going to help that. But I really don't have time to kind of deal with that right now. Well, the question becomes, if not now, when? When will you have time? Are you in need of someone to encourage you? In the book of Hebrews, it says, let us call today, right? And not get set aside by the things that kind of knock us off course. So we shouldn't be hardened by the sinful deceitfulness of others. Well, sometimes we just have to be able to look a little bit further. If you need to encourage yourself because, someone else who you thought would be encouraging you and, hey, yelling you on and, saying, hey, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it. And yet at the same time, when you really, really needed that, it was just you. You were the only one around. A procrastination, if you can't encourage yourself, if others can't encourage you, well, I think we then forget to look at the Lord and how the Lord is a part of all of this. God cannot fail. God cannot lie. It's just not possible. And we saw that in today's old scripture reading, and we saw that in the New Testament reading as well. We just need to examine ourselves and examine what it is we want to do, how we want to move forward. Procrastination is this thing that all of us know about. All of us probably at one point has been guilty of doing it. What if, while we're procrastinating, we say, let's take the people at the Red Sea. Moses kind of got everybody together, and they said, all right, what are we supposed to do? We can't get the chariots across. We can't get everybody across, but yet these guys are behind us and they're about to hand us our heads. So we need to go do something. There's the detours that are available aren't available. What happens? What happens? Well, the Bible in the book of Exodus, chapter 14, tells us that Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and the Lord caused the sea to go back by a strong east wind that kind of blew all night long. And at the end of the day, where that sea used to be was now dry land. The Bible says, and the waters divided. And so that's the parting of the Red Sea, right? We've all kind of heard that as we grew up. But it was a detour not intended, because the path to go across just needed some things to get moved out of the way, disconnected, if you will. And so that is a part of moving procrastination out of your way. Understanding if the detour needs to happen or you need to go straight forward. Either way, the only way to do that is with the Lord on your side. He'll instruct you whether or not you need to kind of back up a bit and maybe take another path, or the path that you're on is the path he intended and you need to go forward. Sometimes we have to, as we said earlier today, we need to be able to deal with the problems and be uniquely qualified to deal with the problems, such that we've grown through whatever the issue is. Now, disconnecting from a problem and procrastination, think about this for a moment. Have you ever been on social media, and I won't name any platforms, but let's just say social media, and you looked at your watch or you looked at the clock, and let's say it's 7 o'clock, and you start looking at 7 o'clock, and by 7:30, you're still looking at this social media platform. And you could be there till 8 o'clock looking at this social media platform. Sometimes in this life, my beloved, we just simply need to disconnect from all of that stuff and let it just be you and the Lord. So disconnecting from the world sometimes, and the world will be there when you come back. But if you've ever had that challenge that you get on a social media platform, and I think they're pretty good at it, because you don't see one thing, the same thing for hours, 10 minutes or 20 minutes. You might see something for 2 minutes or a minute and 50 seconds, maybe 3 minutes, but you'll see 40 of those things. And if you say 40 times 3 minutes, well, you've burned up a lot of time. So sometimes you just have to disconnect yourself. And this isn't new stuff. There's no temptation in front of you that hasn't been presented to someone else. But you know what? The Lord will help you make a way of escape to endure it. And so if it is simple as turning it off, turn it off. You may even have to, shut your Wi-Fi off in the house just for a little bit, so that, that's drastic, I get it. But if it disconnects you and then allows you to move forward, then that's what you want. Another thing that, sometimes we have to take baby steps. Now, the Bible will tell us to order our steps, right? That's Psalms 119, 133. Order my steps in thy word, Lord, and let not any iniquity have dominion over me. So you're not able to get from, let's say, point A to point B. You may have to go point A, point A.1, point A.2, and then finally make it to point A.10, and then after that you get to B. You may have to take baby steps. Well, why is baby steps important? Well, think about it. Let's say that you wanted to read your word. It's just something simple. And you said, I'm going to read for an hour, but you can't commit for an hour. Basically, you can't sit for an hour, let's say. So what do? Baby steps. Well, maybe can I do this for 45 minutes? No, Rod, you can't sit for 45 minutes. All right, how about 30 minutes? No, Rod, you can't sit for 30 minutes. All right, it's getting a little tough here. How about 15 minutes? No, Rod, that'll be stretching it too. You're not going to commit to that. All right, so can I do it for 10 minutes? All right, so 10 minutes, I'm going to read my word. But you see, at least taking the baby step, I am doing something. I am moving myself forward. That happens with a lot of things when a person is challenged with this big thing to go do, and you say, well, I can't do this big, huge thing. Well, the point is, can you do something? That's the point. How can you move yourself forward? And then lastly, maybe seek truth and understanding. And sometimes we hear things and we think to ourselves, okay, we just blindly accept it, but we never really challenge it. We never really think about, well, how could that be? In 1 Kings 17:24, there was a woman who was talking with Elijah. And it just so happened that this woman's child had gotten sick. And it just so happened that Elijah, was within this woman's house. And because the woman was there, the child was there, unfortunately, the child passed away. And the mother was like, oh, you call yourself this guy. You're not the guy. My daughter is dead. How can this be? How can this be? What did Elijah do? Bring the child to me. And the Bible tells us that he covered the child 3 times, and he asked the Lord to allow the child's soul to come back into it. God was faithful, and he did. And what did she say? Because she was able to see truth and now understand who this person was in front of her. She said, now I know that you're a man of God and that the word of the Lord is in your mouth and it's true. So procrastination sometimes requires us to be able to verify and to certify a particular action or maybe even a particular person. And until you do that, you're going to kind of not really. You're going to say not really. But my beloved, the point is you're able to verify it and you're able to know the truth. You see, this is all that piece of procrastination that we so easily deal with. God is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. Now, I'd like to kind of start to wrap up and just kind of help us to understand that we sometimes must accept a power greater than ourselves into our own lives. When we think about procrastination and delays and doing ourselves and what our vocation is, we have to come away with, well, what does God really want from us? And that means that we have to take time to just kind of commune with God, to ask him, what is it that you need from me, Lord? What is it that I can do? Can you show me, Father, the power, the skill, the love that you have within me that you want me to share with someone else? I think sometimes we're afraid to ask that question because we don't want to know the answer. But ask away. Ask away, because you'll be surprised. You'll be absolutely surprised how the Lord will use you to accomplish things that you never thought you were able to do. I can tell you that it would be a wonderful experience when you commune with the Lord and he provides whatever it is that you're seeking, whatever the vocation is. And my prayer for you today is that whatever that vocation is that you have, that you find it, that you seek it. And once you've sought it, my beloved, I pray that you accept it. I really love the fact that people can be who they are in the Lord, and that they can just, if you do who you are, that's a crazy sound, right? But absolutely, it's a true thing. That means that you'll never work a day in your life, and all that you do is smiles and love. And you'll be surprised at how much you will be able to change the world by just doing you and getting all of the other stuff out of your way. I thank God for each and every one of you. And with that, I'll turn it back to Will.